Hi there, how are you? Welcome to Healthy Cooking with your friendly Italians. I'm Jim Barrow.
I'm Miriam Barrow.
And we're here to talk about good, healthy, simple foods that we can sit down and enjoy. And before we get into the topic of where we're going today, there was a chef by the name of Chang who owns, multiple restaurants in this country. And he says the best thing in life is to sit down and eat a good, simple, healthy meal. So we're right in step with David Chang. So when we left you the last time, we were at the Amalfi Coast. And we are going to leave the Amalfi Coast and we're going to go north into the province of Tuscany.
Yes.
Which is near Florence. But before we leave the Amalfi Coast, I want to relate to you an incident we had while we were on the Amalfi Coast that sort of states what the Italians are all about. Now, the Amalfi Coast has got this road that runs along the edge of the water on the west side of Italy, and it's a very narrow road, and there's a lot of very hairpin curves. And we're on this highway, and all of a sudden we come to a hairpin curve, and everything is stopped. No traffic is going either way, and the people are peeping their horns, and there's a car right in the middle of this hairpin turn.
And there's no driver.
No driver. And they can't get by. All of a sudden, I see the driver who is off with his paisans at a little cafeteria or coffee shop, drinking coffee, smoking a cigarette. And he doesn't bother him at all. He's smoking, he's drinking, and he's having a great time. So finally, when he's finished, he nonchalantly goes over to his car, and they're still yelling, and they're calling and cursing him. And he looks at him, and he puts his hands up like this, and he goes, eh.
And he gets in his car, and he drives off.
That says a lot.
Yes, they
That's
do what they want in their own leisure time. There's nothing that hurries any of them.
La dolce vita, the love of life. All right, so
sweet life. Yes.
Sweet life. So we're going to leave the Amalfi Coast, and we are going to a place that really, really excites us. Up just outside of Florence, this beautiful, beautiful town of Cena. And Cena has a thing in the summer. They actually have it twice in the summer.
Yes.
Which is a horse race. Now you're going to say...
It's called the Palio.
Palio. Well, so big deal. It's a Palio. It's a horse race. What's the big deal? It's more... A horse race is almost secondary to this event. So we're gonna take you to the horse race, the Palio. But before we do, when we have a favorite place that we have lunch in Siena, and it's off of what they call the Campo di what's it?
It's the Campo.
No, it's something more than that.
Well,
Piazza di Campo. That's what I'm trying to think. There's a restaurant that is called an osteria. And osteria in the line of there's the top restaurants are called a restaurant. Then the next level is an osteria. Then there's a trattoria. Then there's a pizzeria, and then there's eating the street food. So this is a little osteria, and we went there just about this time of the year when all the wonderful mushrooms are coming out, the fresh porcini mushrooms. And we went to this place, and we had a risotto with porcini mushrooms. And first of all, risotto is God's gift to food. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful dish. Now you add these fresh porcini mushrooms, and you died and gone to heaven. And so we ordered it. And before they made the dish, they brought out the fresh porcini mushrooms on a big basket. And you touch
them.
And
if they move a little bit, that means that they're fresh. They jiggle a little bit. That means they're fresh. So you actually pick out the mushrooms you want in your own dish.
Right. And then they take it and they cook it. But before entered into this is the basic recipe, which I want to give to you, which you got to try, which is a risotto. Now, risotto is made with a short grain white rice that comes out of Italy. And usually you hear the word arborio, and arborio is one of the 3 types of short grain white rice that comes out of there. Then there's another one called Vialenano, and another one called Carnaroli. All 3 of them are good. The other 2 are a little bit better than the arborio.
But it's the starch that comes off of them that makes it sort of creamy. So that's why you need special rice to do this,
yes.
To make these dishes to taste the way they're supposed to.
And what you have is almost an al dente. You have a creaminess, but you get into it and there's a little bite to it, and it's just an absolutely wonderful dish. Once you've learned how to make risotto, then you can go on and do all kinds of things, which we're going to talk about. So let's make risotto. And I'm telling you, it's going to take you 20 minutes to make, but you are absolutely going to love it.
And you have to eat it immediately. I mean, this is something you do. People should be almost sitting at the
yes.
table so
Hand
that,
and fork.
That you can serve this. Yes.
So you're going to take 2 tablespoons of olive oil, heat it in a pan. And you're going to chop an onion, you're going to put it in there and stir it around. Cook it for about 5 or 6 minutes. Then you're going to add 2 cups of this arborio or one of the other rices.
One of the rices, yes.
And you're going to stir that around for 2 or 3 minutes. And you're going to add a 1/2 cup of good dry white wine and put that in there. And let it sit in there and cook it until all of the white wine has gone. It's now dry. You've got 3 cups of warm chicken stock on the side, and you ladle that over the rice, and you stir, and you ladle, and you stir, and you do this until all of the rice is all of the stock is absorbed. And you can tell. You pick it up, taste it, see if it's right for you. When that's done, take some butter and some Parmesan cheese, put it in there, stir it around, and put the top on it. Just let it set for 5 minutes, and now, ladies and gentlemen, you are ready to eat one of the best dishes you ever
Right.
had.
It's really wonderful.
Now, we talked about the mushrooms. You can add, on the side, while this is cooking, you can take some mushrooms. Now, we can't get porcini mushrooms around here, but you can get regular good mushrooms, slice them up, saute them, and add that to this dish to create what you want. Now, we can get, I think I showed you this before.
And that's dried.
The dried porcini
mushrooms.
If you take this and put in a little water and reconstitute it, if you will, you could add that to this dish, and you could have a semblance of what the porcini mushroom flavor would be in this dish. So you can do that with it. Now, there's all kinds of variations you can go from with that risotto. You could saute some butternut squash and some pancetta and put that in there. Or you could take any kind of it. Right now, asparagus is in.
Right.
Saute some asparagus, right?
Asparagus would be wonderful.
Would be great in it. Broccoli, spinach. Use your imagination, what's fresh out there, and things are starting to happen out there now. Get those and put that in there. You could also use fennel. Bake some fennel and add a little lemon juice and zest, and you could add that to it. You could add shrimp to it. You could add all these things to create a dish that is a main dish. It isn't just adding rice,
No,
right?
no, you can put protein in it. Particularly, the shrimp is probably the best, I think.
Yeah.
But you can do other kinds of things. But you take the basic recipe and then work with what you would like or what's fresh or what you have on hand.
So you got to do this, right?
Yeah.
Remember this. You got to do this.
Okay.
All right. Now, one of the secrets is when you make your risotto, you always make more than you can eat. Remember that. Make more than you eat. Now, what are you going to do with all the leftovers? Yeah, you could heat it up.
But it won't taste the same.
It won't taste the same.
No.
But you can make another dish. Now, this comes out of Sicily, and the name of it is the English name would be an orange. It looks like an orange, which you're going to use the risotto.
They really are rice balls.
They're rice balls. They're arancini. Is that what I say? Did I say that right?
It's arancini. Yeah, it is.
I did that well. So we're going to use those rice balls, and that's what we're going to. That's the other thing we're going to do with the leftovers. So now what you're going to do? You got all these leftovers. You're going to take 2 cups, add an egg to it, mix it together, and then
you take an ice cream scoop.
I think I showed you this too. See this thing right here? Shoot, push it, punch it down, put it on the top, and now you're ready to make the balls. Now you take the ball, you roll it up, you put your finger into that ball, create a hole, and you put a cube of cheese in there. You can put a cube of mozzarella
or
provolone, and
a nice, wonderful Italian cheese.
Yeah, and let me tell you,
Noni's has probably one of the best buffalo mozzarella in the area.
Fresh mozzarella and the sharp provolone.
Yes, they have that also.
So you push that in, roll it up, and then take some panko. I've talked about panko before. You roll it in a panko.
It works.
Now, normally what you do is you deep fry them. We very seldom deep fry. So what I've done with it is I get a hot oven, 425,
right,
and spray a baking sheet, put them in there, cook them for about 10 minutes, turn them over, cook them for another 10 minutes, and they'll come out nice and crisp. But inside of that is this
wonderful melted cheese. So it's really good.
And you can serve them with a little lemon juice over the top, or you want some marinara sauce, you pour a little marinara sauce over the top.
And that makes it a nice main meal.
It really is a great, great dish. So you do that, okay? So now we got to talk about this event
called the Palio.
And
we were very lucky in one of our trips to the area that we were invited to be able to go. It's based on the contradas, and contradas are nothing more than little local parishes. And the contrada that invited us was called La Giraffa, and that means the giraffe. That's the giraffe, and they're basically named after animals, and they're basically little local communities all over with a church in the middle.
Right.
And they have these wonderful. They'll light them up, and they have metal lamps that have the giraffe or whatever, the different palios, and there's 17 of them.
There's 17 of them, and when this race is going to happen, I think 15 out of 17 can enter the race.
Or 10, I don't know. They have to do a drawing anyway. The basic thing is they have to draw, because they actually have 2. So they have to draw as to where their lot is in the particular race.
So each of the contradas is now going to be in the palio. And they go out and they hire a jockey, and then they can't go hire a horse. They have to pick out of a hat, and they get.
That's a lottery.
It's a lottery, okay? So now they do that, and the night before the palio, and this is what we attended, they have in front of the church, and with us it was the giraffe, they have a dinner for 600 people. And it's a French service dinner. What I mean by French service, I mean crystals and silverware, and all the waiters are dressed up in tuxes, and you're out in front of the church, and you sit there and have a 10-course meal. 10 courses. And I think there must be a bottle of wine for every.
Oh, I don't know. The wine is flowing.
It never ends.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and the food.
I think it's prepared by the parishioners. The women of the parish prepare all this absolutely incredible food.
They have things like roast chicken, veal marsala, beef Florentine, veal marsala, meatballs and spinach, salads. Oh, and on and go. And while we were eating all this and drinking this, all of the parishioners are singing and they're jumping up and down, and all of a sudden they'll pick somebody up and throw them in the air and catch them. And at the end of this thing, they have the jockey, believe this or not, they have the jockey in the basement of the church locked up, along with the horse locked up. Now, why do they do that? Because they're afraid that the jockey is going to take a bribe, so they don't want to live, and that the horse might get doped up. So they go downstairs and get the jockey, and he comes up, and he's usually a good-looking guy, and they throw him up in the air, and they sing, and they have a great time with him. And that's the night before.
Well, okay. They also have parades, and they wear very ancient costumes, which are part of all these contradas, which are basically museums where they keep in the basement. And these are very regal-looking costuming with, heavy velvets and all kinds of ancient costuming that only come out this one time of the year.
And they're usually in silks and velvets, and they have the hat, and they're all in the colors of the
yes,
church.
You have to have the colors.
And they have the hats and the slippers in velvet.
Everything.
All right, so they get all dressed up, and now is the day of the race, and they've taken this shell-like piazza, and they've covered it with sand. And they've taken the outside of it and put the barriers around it, and they put padding up against the barriers. Now, I'll tell you why they put the barriers up here in a minute. So now it's time. And out they come, and they've got these flags, and they throw them in the air, and they're all dressed in these period costumes. They have music, and they're having a great time. And they come into the campo, and then we have the Carabinieri, who are on horseback with their swords drawn and their hats on with the feathers in them, and they charge around the campo. And one time, and everybody cheers, and everybody, as the place is packed, now the jockeys and the horses come out. And they're actually, the jockeys are hitting each other, and they're biting each other, and they're calling them names, and they're just having a terrible time with each other. So now it takes them about 25 minutes to get this race underway. They're only going to go around this thing 3 times. And as they're getting there, all trying to move in for position, and they're hitting each other. And when the race takes off, the jockeys are trying to hit the other jockeys off of their horses and throw them into the stands. And if a jockey gets thrown off the horse, and the horse ends up in first place, he wins. It doesn't have to have the horse on it. And so it's a wonderful thing, and you should. I know I'm running a little bit over, but I got to tell you, one time they had this jockey who they give the money. It's a lot of money, $120,000 to $130,000 to the jockey, and the jockey in turn gives it to the church. And this one jockey, this one time, he got the money. He had a motorcycle parked around back, and instead of giving it to the church, giving it to the priest, he got on a motorcycle and took off with the money.
So there's all kinds of shenanigans that go on, but it's a fun thing, and it's so Italian, and it's really an experience, and we certainly enjoyed doing it.
It is the greatest event that I think we went to while we were in Italy, don't you think?
It certainly gave a lot of explanation of how the Italians think and how they live.
All right, so I got a little winded there, didn't I?
You got a little carried away, but that's okay.
I intend to do that.
You do.
All right, so we were in Siena. We're going to leave Siena the next time we come together, and we're going to head farther north, and we're going to go up to Venice, and we're going to stop off in a little place called Poggibonsi. And then I got a great recipe, best recipe you ever had, for grilling steak alla Florentina, and we're going to do that the next time.
All right, we have a few other recipes on this episode, but please try them. One's a red potato, and one's some asparagus, but they're all fun, and they're all wonderful.
There's recipes for those.
There's recipes for those.
And I'll talk to them. I'll try to talk to them the next time we get together, okay? Anything else we have?
I don't think so. We'll just see.
Can we stop now?
We can stop now. We can say ciao, and we can
Ciao.
say see you the next time.
Beautiful day.
And enjoy the spring.
Yes, enjoy the spring. See you next time. Bye-bye.